All right, today's episode is episode 3. We are actually talking about the process of purchasing a home. My name is Samuel Shahan. I'm a real estate broker with the Chicago Home Partner Team at Properties. Let's just dive into this episode because it's a lot of information. My favorite thing about the real estate process is that I'm a super analytical person, so it's a very linear process. It is literally step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, so on and so forth until you close on your property. Now, I break it down in 2 sections. The first section is searching for the property, doing your education, getting all of that stuff set so that you can actually handle the second part of the transaction, which is the contingency period, the offer period, kind of doing our due diligence in order to get the property. That last bit is the more finite part of the transaction. So what you're going to see is typically this time frame takes about 30 days to about 60 days, maybe 75 days on the back end. So for you as a consumer, knowing that your lease may end April 1st, you would take 30 days, 60 days prior to actually identify your property. Now, before that is the searching. So that's that first part. That's the more variable part, and that's going to be dependent upon you and what you're looking for, as well as what's going to be out on the market. Typically, we say this time frame lasts between a couple weeks up to about 6 months, we typically see with a couple of our clients. And it really just depends, again, if you're looking for a needle in the haystack versus something that's more prevalent out in the market. We go through what you're looking for. So, how many bedrooms, how many baths, what locations, which neighborhoods, and then we kind of really narrow it down and say, all right, this is something that's really doable or not. The step 2 is the lending process. So you don't have to go through an entire lending process at this time. What we say is, let's get you a pre-approval. So we connect you with our top rated lenders their contact information will be down in the comments below. But we get you in contact with them so that we know that you can have an affordability and that we know how much you can actually get for the house. Now, real estate, there are 2 different ways that we structure pricing. One is the price, so which is the purchase price. But from a buyer standpoint, we want to look at what the monthly cost is. So what is your mortgage going to cost you? What is the assessments going to cost you? What are the taxes? Are you going to have PMI? We want to take all of that into consideration. And what we can do with a pre-approval, especially when you start it a little bit earlier, is we can navigate and help you structure your loans and your debt and your finances so that you get better interest rates as well as get better PMI if you are putting less than 20% down. The next step is searching for properties. We will actually talk about searching for properties in a later video, so definitely stick around for that. But we're gonna go out and look at a bunch of properties. Typically what I say is, with buyers, we go out and we do buyer tours. So looking at 6 to 8 different properties at once. What this does is it gives you kind of an identity of the actual real estate market. So if we're out and we're looking at different neighborhoods, it gives us an opportunity to neighborhood shop and also get you the idea of what you're liking and what you're not liking. Typically what I find with a lot of our clients, especially buyers, is you have a whole list of needs and wants. And sometimes when we go out and look at properties, it doesn't really translate into that. So it gives us the opportunity to say, hey, this is more of a priority than this. Step 4. Step 4 is actually identifying the property. So once we do that, and you say, we walk through the property, you're in love. This is the property that you want. What I do as a real estate broker is I come back and I run what's called a comparative market analysis. This is me taking what other units are selling for in the neighborhood. So what we do is I look at active properties. This is competition for the property that you like. I look at contingent properties. So what are other buyers buying at this moment instead of this property? We also look at canceled listings. So who are the people who have not been successful at selling their house at different prices? And then we also look at what's closed. This is an accurate detail of what an appraiser is going to look at when they're giving you your loan. So it kind of just solidifies, and these people have had success with selling their property. Once we have that CMA, what we do is we come back to you as the consumer and we say, hey, we actually think the property is worth between X and Y. So let's say a property is worth $300,000 or is marketed for $300,000. We will come back and say, all right, looking at all the properties that are active, contingent, sold, we would value the property between $280,000 and $290,000. Again, $300,000 being the asking price. Our job is to come up with a strategy of how to get you within that range and get you the best price as well as getting you the best terms. Now, again, every property is going to be completely different. That value may go around that purchase price and it may go above, it may go below. So at that point, we can tell you, hey, it's going to be a really competitive property, and we'll come up with those strategies so that you get it. The next phase is negotiations. So negotiations start by us drafting up an entire offer. So the offer is actually our contract. So we actually will write all the terms, the price, everything out on 4 pages, which is our contract. It's essentially just fill in the blank. And then we submit that over to the seller. At that point, we will go back and forth negotiating prices as well as terms. Now, terms are unique because that includes closing date. It could include earnest money. It could include fixtures in the house. There's so many different terms that are out there that have a monetary financial impact on you as a purchaser, as well as the seller. So we do want to negotiate those. Once we come to an agreement, that is when we start the contingency periods. So this is that finite second period that we go through. This is that time frame that's going to last between 30 to 60 days on average. So we have due diligences that we want to go through during this process. So we have 3 contingencies. And again, we're going to talk about this way more in depth in the next videos. So the 3 contingencies are going to be the attorney review contingency, as well as the inspection contingency, and the mortgage contingency. All 3 of these are here as safety nets for you as a consumer saying, hey, I love this property. I am willing to pay X amount of dollars for this property, but I want to make sure that we are financially sound as well as the property is physically sound, and that we have done our research in the back end to make sure that we really feel like this is a strong asset that we want to purchase. Now, the second to last step is the final walkthrough. So once we get through all those contingencies, we do a final walkthrough, making sure that the property is in the same condition as it was when we made that offer and you fell in love with it. And then we also want to check if there are any issues that we had addressed during the inspection period, that those are kind of taken care of. Now, the last step is our closing. So the best day of purchasing is that day. So this is the day that you will go to a closing title company. You will sit down, your lender will bring your mortgage, you'll sign all of those documents, and then you'll get the keys to the house and you are officially a homeowner. That is like one of my favorite moments in all of real estate, is the day that people get their keys, because that is the moment that they get to start their next chapter of their life. So that is essentially the process. It's, again, take it step by step. That is the best advice that we can always give all of our clients, especially our buyers. It makes it more manageable, it takes a lot of the stress out, and it doesn't overwhelm you as a consumer. Again, we want this to be interactive. So below, leave all of your questions, comments, and we will definitely reach out and answer them. And then As always, I have no idea where the subscribe button is, but subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, we're gonna have really great content. We're gonna go more in depth in this series about some of these items in the process, so make sure you stick around for those.